What's going on, y'all? You know what it is. You know who it is. Intergalactic Brew coming at you one more again. You know, um, want to talk about, of course, UFC. More specifically, UFC 130 last night. Um, Fairly decent card, um, to say the least. Um, you know, yeah, fairly decent card to say the least. Um, I think this was probably the first UFC pay per view that I haven't got most of the main fights correct, except for one, and that was the main event. But these guys that people think are just, you know, average. Uh, I guess what do I want to use? Stepping stones, I guess, or you know what I'm saying, or easy. Um, these guys are for real, and when I mean you know um, stepping stones or easy, I'm talking about guys like Brian Stan, Rick Story, Travis Brown. You know, those guys really proved something, and I'm not gonna lie. I doubted them. I especially doubted Rick Story and Brian Stan. You know, because you know, especially about Stan. I thought being that he was facing a real middleweight contender, like a real seasoned elite veteran middleweight. I thought the expectations would probably get the best of him. But hey, I was wrong. My bad. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I basically wanted to do. I'm not gonna even call this a UFC 130 recap video. I'm gonna call this a UFC 130 shout out video. Cause as blown away as I was by these guys, I mean Brown, uh, Stan, and Story. I mean, there's really nothing to recap. All you can do is just shout these guys out and be like, kudos, man. You know, good job, excellent. You know, so basically, I want to give a shout out to first of all Brian Stan. You know, I doubted you uh, against Chris Lieben. You proved me wrong. I doubted you in this fight with Santiago. You proved me wrong. So I just want to say, Brian Stan, you're for real, dude. Like, you are truly a mean man. Not saying as a person, but I'm talking about in the octagon. You're a mean man. Like, for real. Like, you got ice cold water in your eyes and in your veins. Like, you are heartless in there. Like, seriously. Now, I've seen George Santiago get knocked out, but I ain't never seen him get knocked out that bad. Like, I think that knockout by Brian Stan was probably even more violent and more treacherous than when Alan Belcher knocked him out. I mean, because you really can't compare a head kick to, a right hook or a counter right hook. Or was it a left hook? I think it was a right hook. But anyway, you can't compare those two striking maneuvers. Like, I think either one of them is just as painful as the other. So, shout out to the All-American Brian Stan. You did your darn thing. You are for real, like I said. And next fight, dude, I'm picking you. I don't care who it is. I don't care what the circumstance is. I'm picking you. And I truly believe, and it's going to hurt me to say this, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I believe if you were to face Vanderlei Silva, I think you could beat him. I really think you could beat him. And Vanderlei Silva is one of my favorite fighters of all time in the U.S. or in MMA, period. But I think you could beat him. And after watching that fight from Brian Stann, I just became a fan of Brian Stann. See, when people, impress me like that in any form of competition, I'm a fan. And then on top of that, he's got, the humility and, and the respect and the honor and the discipline to go with it. So that makes it even better. Like, that's a plus. If you're a skillful, BA fighter, bad A double, the rest, so if you're a bad hombre with skills and you got humility and discipline and, you seem like you're, genuine and down to earth, I'll mess with you, man. And Brian Stann seems to be one of those people. So, hey, All-American, I salute you, brother. For real. And I put that on everything. Okay. Second shout out I want to give to is Rick Story. Now, Rick Story, when I found out that he was going to be on the pay-per-view against Thiago Alves especially, I thought, okay, this dude does not deserve to be on here. I'm just being honest. I thought Rick Story does not deserve to be on here. They're giving him too much too fast. He's going to be a victim of his own success, and he's going to regret it later. But, he came, he saw, and he conquered, I mean, he said he was going to, be relentless, and he said he was going to make Thiago frustrated. I don't know if he made him quit, but I know he definitely made him frustrated, and I know he was relentless, like, with his wrestling skill, and also with the striking as well, Even though Thiago Alves did land some good strikes in certain moments of that fight. Let's not disregard that. I mean, Rick Story won, sure, but Thiago Alves, he got his in too. So, but anyway, Rick Story, man, he's a piranha. That dude is a rock wilder. Like, he is, boy, that guy there, man, he looked like he looked like a panther, like jumping on a deer or something like that in the jungle. Like, you ever seen like one of them wild panthers just jump on, a deer or, whatever animal is like walking through the jungle, and then just basically eat every body part off of him? That's basically how Rick Story was on Thiago Alves, And he really did surprise me. Again, he blew me away. Now, I don't know if I'm still a fan of Rick Story, but, I respect him a lot more as a fighter now. I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of him because, he still seems like, he's kind of, feeling himself a little bit. But, as he fights more and I see him fight more, maybe I'll, start to get attached to him. But other than that, though, great fight, Story. Great fight. Shout out to you. Let's see. Oh yeah, Travis Brown, Stephen Struve. Again, I thought this was going to be sort of a stepping stone fight for Stephen Struve, being that, he was a lot taller, had the better reach. I think he was more well-rounded than Brown was, being that Brown is pretty much a striker. So, I thought that maybe Struve at some point in the fight would try to get the fight to the mat and, start to let his grappling skills show itself. But, that's what happens when you get caught up and you get lured into a striking match, you're gonna get caught. And Travis Brown, he's got some power. At least he did in this fight. When against McSweeney, I didn't really think that knockout was all impressive. It was, kind of sloppy and dull and everything. But this fight here, this was off the charts. This was like a dynamic knockout here. So, yeah, Travis Brown, he's I ain't gonna say he's for real yet, cause no disrespect to Stephen Struve, but you were fighting against a guy that's really really young, still trying to find his way around the MMA sport, really just an up and comer. So it was good for what it was worth. I mean, the knockout was still fantastic, but let me see you do that against guys like Brendan Schaub or Frank Mir or Roy Nelson or Dos Santos or Shane Carwin or Brock Lesnar, those type of guys. Let me see you try and display that power against them. And if you can knock out one of those type of guys, or maybe even like a Pat Barry even. If you can knock out somebody of that caliber, then I'll be like, okay, Travis Brown is for real. But until then, I'll just say I got my eye on you. But still, shout out to Travis Brown, though. Okay, now, my letdowns. Man, I do not know. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, first of all, Thiago, you seriously need to just basically, I'm not going to say stop striking or stop practicing striking so much, because that is your strength, but you need to kind of like decrease that a little bit, and you really need to start working on wrestling full time at American Top Team, because I do not know what happened last night. I'm thinking like ever since the John Fitch fight, I thought you would have learned your lesson by now. And on the other hand, you got outstruck by Rick Story. No disrespect to him, but I mean, come on, dude. You're a former Muay Thai champion, for Pete's sake. I mean, seriously, you're not supposed to get outstruck by a wrestler. Come on. Come on, man. For real. Work on the wrestling, and another thing, man, get back to the jiu-jitsu. Where the heck is the jiu-jitsu? You're supposed to be a Brazilian jiu-jitsu purple belt or brown belt or whatever you are, but you're supposed to have some experience in jiu-jitsu. Where is it? Get to work, Thiago. Get to work. And speaking of getting to work, which leads me to Roy Nelson. Okay, I understand that, we love the whole he might be big, but, he's brilliant, type of scenario. But I think the fun's over now. Roy Nelson really exposed himself, and more importantly exposed himself for what he really is, which is a fat guy. But I think it lasted for a while. But I think it's time for you to get in the gym, not an MMA gym. I'm talking about a fitness gym. And it's time to start slicing that fat off, buddy. So yeah, because that wasn't cool at all, what happened last night. I mean, just hands on his hips, heavy breath, couldn't hardly, walk out to finish the fight, when the referee said fight. I mean, it was just all bad, so Roy, I hate to break it to you, but it's time out for the Burger King, the Pizza Hut, the hot wings, the Coca-Colas and everything else. It's time to get in the gym, and it's time to get slim, bro. But anyway, holla.